Hey there. This is finally my review slash catch up story wise with a book I was very excited to read, heard a lot of good things about, and kind of regret not picking up earlier. The Wicked and the Divine. I picked up the first 10 issues in trade, as you can see here, or the first 11 issues rather in trade, trade 1, trade 2, and then from there picked up the rest in floppies, including today's, which is September 9th, issue 14. And I'm not going to review every single issue because that would take way too long. Like I said, this is kind of a catch up. So I'm just going to review the story, give a brief overview of the story so far, what I like about the book, and why I think you should read it. So, the story, as helpfully summarized on the back of the trade here, is every 90 years, 12 gods return as young people. They are loved, they are hated. In 2 years, they are all dead. It's happening now, it's happening again. And so that's pretty much it. That's the premise, is that every 90 years, gods, like actual gods from various myths and religions all over the world, inhabit the body of 12 young people and live for 2 years to kind of do whatever. They have powers. They can fly. They can make people explode. They can manipulate fire. Like, they have all the powers that you'd expect these gods to have. But they're trapped in kind of human bodies, and they only have 2 years to live. And so in this incarnation, which takes place in the current day, relatively, all the gods kind of become rock stars. They hold these concerts and these fan events where they do this singing, and it like inspires people. It's a religious experience, being touched, being in the presence of divinity. And our main character is Laura. We'll get a picture of her. Well, not a picture, but a drawing of her. Let's see. Where's a good thing of Laura? Um, okay. Yeah, so we're introduced to Laura over here. She's our main character. She is kind of a god fangirl. Again, the gods in this book, they're like rock stars, they're pop stars, and so she goes to all their concerts. She knows them all. She knows like a bunch of trivia about them. She tries to follow them around, and the story gets started when, after a concert by Amaterasu, who's a Japanese sun god, after a concert with her, Laura becomes friends with Lucifer, who's the devil, Lucifer, the human incarnation of Lucifer, and starts hanging out with all of the gods, pretty much. And the gods in the first trade that we're introduced to are Amaterasu, who's the Japanese sun god, Lucifer, who is the devil, Sekhmet, who's an Egyptian like cat god. She's kind of the most sexual god of all of the ones in this incarnation. Minerva, who's the Greek god of wisdom. Odin, Woden, he's called in this book, but that's just another name for Odin, who's the Norse Allfather. Who else is there? There's the what's her name? The Morrigan, who's I'm not sure what the Morrigan is. I want to say some sort of Scandinavian or Russian underworld god. We have Baphomet, who's and it's explored in this book, Baphomet, actually, that he's not a real god. He is he's kind of like a bastardized Arabic character who became kind of a Satanist figure. There's Tara, who I'm not sure where Tara's exactly from either. Dionysius, the Greek god of wine and kind of parties and all that. Who else am I missing here? and Baal, who is a Hebrew sky god. And I think that's all of them that aren't really spoilers. Let me check the other trade. What's cool is part of the presentation of the book is every issue opens with this kind of diagram here, and so each god has a sign assembled with them. So this is Amaterasu, the sun. This used to be a pentagram for Lucifer, but she died early, which is kind of a spoiler, but she died, so it got replaced with a skull. Sekhmet, the cat. Baphomet, Minerva with her with the owl. I believe this is Woden, the winged helmet. The Morrigan. This is I forget his name. Let me check the most recent issue. As you can tell, there are lots of characters in this book. Who was it? Who was it? What's that guy's name? Inanna. I just flipped to another page. Yeah. So oh, this one has more things. So yeah, that's Inanna. That's Tara. That's Baal. This is Dionysius' symbol. And that's it. That's like ones that aren't spoilers. So yeah, we get a lot more characters as the book goes on too. We're introduced to more of the pantheon, and yeah, the plot kind of involves Laura as she explores the pantheon, and these are all teenagers. They're all like 19 to 21 years old, except for Minerva, who's like 12. They're suddenly the most famous people on the planet. They're gods. They have to deal with their godhood. And then they have to kind of deal with each other. That not everyone believes that they're actual gods. At the same time, they are celebrities. They have to deal with fame and all that. And we kind of get that intersection of kind of superherodom, because this is like a comic and these guys have powers. They are more than human, and celebrity. And there is this like neat intersection that they play with, that these people are powerful. They do have power that normal people don't, and they use it irresponsibly a lot of times. Like celebrities who are rich and powerful in the real world get into lots of trouble, and they aren't necessarily punished the way that someone like us might be, without powers, without fame, without riches might be. And then there's the way they're interacting with Laura, who is mortal, who is not one of them, and how they treat her and how she looks up to them and all that. Like her fandom getting in the way of her trying to solve this murder mystery that becomes involved with who somebody killed a judge and Lucifer's blamed for it. So if Lucifer didn't do it, who did it? And then who killed Lucifer? And just all of these certain things start piling onto each other. All these different mysteries. Who's behind all this? And it keeps on piling on. And as we learn more about what may have happened, more information is introduced that changes that. It's just a very intriguing, interesting story as these characters change, as they interact, as we find out what each character knows about each other, and just all their different abilities, and who they might be in league with. Are there alliances within the godhood, within the pantheon, that contradict each other? And then again, all of them dealing with their fame and their fans and all of that stuff. It's so good. It managed to be personal. Like, you have a lot of characters. You have 12 gods. You have Laura. You have a character Enki, who's kind of the watcher who watches over the gods. Just the way they all interact. You have a reporter, Cassandra, who is a bit skeptical of the things. Like, she's seen the gods in action. She knows they can fly and have these powers, but she's still skeptical about whether or not they're actual gods, or there's something else. And just watching all these characters kind of interact and bounce off of one another and try and solve this mystery, trying to help each other out while still having these major conflicts of character and conflicts of interest and all that. The art in this book is very good. In the first 2 volumes here, it's all done by I don't know their full name. By Jamie McKelvey, Matthew Wilson, and Clayton Powell, and a bunch of other people doing the art. Here's the letterhead here. And it's this really clean style, lots of color. Each character looks very different. panel layouts are very well done, and like they're not. Some of them are more imaginative than others, but they're all very good for telling the story. Just the way that colors pop in certain situations with different gods. We'll find more pages to show. Here's a more clever panel layout as Laura goes underground to see the Morrigan, who's again a goddess of the underworld. So of course her performances are concentrated underground. And there's just like a lot of like little touches of flavor too that really make this world come alive. We're in the middle of Volume 3 right now, with issue 14 came out today, latest issue, and each issue in Volume 3 is done by a different artist. So we have here a different artist. It's what's the guy's name? I should have written all this down beforehand. Oh, it's in the back this time, isn't it? Yeah, Kate Brown is the artist for much of issue 12 over here, and you can tell a different art style, a bit softer colors, kind of more, seems to be a bit more manga influenced. Issue 13 is done by Tula Lotte, and she has a more kind of textured style. This issue deals just with one god, Tara. It's her introductory issue. And then the most recent issue, 14, is it's really cool because it's a remix issue. There's almost no original art for this issue. Instead, it remixes panels from previous issues with a bunch of overlays and different text and all that. And because the character Woden, who's narrating this issue, whose issue this is really, is kind of a DJ. Like he's a DJ producer character, so he's remixing all the art from the other books in order to create his own story. And it's all just the way it's done is really clever and really cool stuff. And they even sample, I can't show the pages because they have lots of nudity, but they even sample some pages from Sex Criminals, because Sex Criminals did a Wicked and Divine reference, and so they're sampling the Sex Criminals panels, they're sampling the art from Sex Criminals in this book as part of the book. It's so clever what they did with the art in 14. And then just with the narrative in 14 too, with the actual plotting in 14, this is the most recent issue, lots of things come to light, lots of questions answered that were kind of hanging over the book from issue 2 even. Questions answered in this book. We get a new perspective, new things, new perspective on the events of the story and all that. This book is very good, very smart, with very lovable characters. They're not all likable. A lot of these characters are just terrible people. Just kind of drunk with their power, with their fame and all that. But the way they all interact in the story, some of the, as you read on, some of the rougher edges get softened out as you see them being affected by the events that take place in the story, by murders, by traitors, by just kind of a political intrigue thing with each of them kind of striving for more power, for more fame, and all that. Just a very fun book. I wish I'd read it from the beginning so I can talk about it more in depth issue to issue, which is what I'll be doing starting in issue 15 and going forward with this story. I really can't recommend it enough. It's become one of my favorite ongoings. It's become one of my favorite books, one that I'm looking forward to every month from now on. It is just so good, so original. I have to recommend it. Start now. Again, first 2 volumes already in trade. The first trade's $10, second is $15. There's 3 issues out in volume 3. If you can't find them as single issues, wait for the trade, but they're definitely worth reading. Just an incredibly imaginative original story. great characters, and that that there's a lot of them, but you never lose track. They're all so unique. The way they interact is great. They all have such unique voices and distinctive voices and characters that you never get confused. You never lose track of any of them. You're always sure, this character does this. This is who this character is. This is, how this character feels about character 2 and all that. This book is almost flawless. It is like I've heard this expression about like video game reviews, and I really like it. This is a 10 out of 11. Most things rated on a 1 to 10 scale. This is a 10 out of 11. It has its little niggling bits, but it is still perfect, where you don't even recognize what is lacking. So yes, Wicked and the Divine. Pick up as much of it as you can. Read from the beginning, and keep on reading, because it's only getting more and more interesting as you read on. You get more and more answers to like more and more questions, and you're still wondering, now that this is answered, what's going to happen? What are these characters' motivations? What do they want to do? So yeah, just again, 10 out of 11. Completely recommend. One of my favorites. Pick it up. Yeah, that is that. So thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up. If you feel like it, subscribe. I review a lot more books on this channel. If this is your first video, I review DC books, Marvel books, indie books like Wicked and Divine, like Sex Criminals. Just anything that really catches my interest. If you have any comments whatsoever, if you want me to read more books, if you want me to kind of do more catch-up videos on other series, please leave them down below. And yeah, that's basically it. Thanks again for watching, and I hope you'll join me for some more comic book reviews.